Welcome into another episode of the Butt and Breneman Show. Adam, I can't believe it. We're just about the halfway point of the season. Some true season-defining games coming up this weekend and next. But there was a season-defining game last weekend. Penn State urgently needed a bounce back on the road against UCLA. As I was calling the game in the same slot, my play-by-play guy, Haberman, was reading me the score. And I said, "You're messing with me. It can't be." But man, for me, I just want to lay this out, and then I'm going to give you the floor for Penn State. What a great job by Tim Skipper, the interim head coach. I had his game against Northwestern, and as I was listening to his press conference, I said, that guy is the most positive, energetic coach I've heard all season. It's so important for the Bruins to get back. And then Jerry Neuheisel. I mean, they fire their OC, their DC. Jerry Neuheisel, the son of Rick Neuheisel, was calling plays, said he didn't even know what button to press to get the communication into Nico Iamaleava, but they found a way to get it done, putting up 42 points on Jim Knowles' defense. So congratulations to the Bruins. They say any given Sunday. In this case, it's any given Saturday. I mean, truly a historic win for them. But, Bren, the flip side is a painful loss for the Nittany Lions. Where are you at with everything?
Real quick, Jake, I want to say about UCLA, that story is what's so great about college football. The fact that they're young players and just a little bit of a shift in momentum or a little bit of hope can completely change the way a team plays.
Right.
You fire your head coach at UCLA and it changes everything. Nico plays completely different. Shout out to Tim Skipper and Jerry Neuheisel. I thought it was really fun seeing Rick Neuheisel, his dad, watch him call the game. It
was awesome.
It was really fun.
Yeah.
For State, probably the low point of the program over the last decade, since I've been at Penn State. I can't remember a time that there was as much turmoil around the program as there is right now. I'll give you the reality, Jake, of as I thought about this after the loss and had to kind of, take the emotion out of it and think about the truth. And the truth is that Penn State has been one of the best teams in college football for a long time now. You look at James Franklin's body of work at Penn State. They were in a couple inches away from playing for a national title just last year. They won 2 playoff games last year. Been 10 and 13 wins in the last 3 seasons. 3 other 11-win seasons for James Franklin. They've consistently been probably the 7th, 6th, 7th, 8th best team in college football. I know there's a lot of negativity around the program. I do think that is important to remember. Look at all the major programs in college football that have had a lot of trouble and have appreciation for where Penn State has been. At the same time, the back-to-back losses and the way the team showed up against UCLA is inexcusable. And there are so many things that come down to what I think is just a lack of preparation and coaching. I mean, you look at some of the Jake that happened in this game, the lack of wide receiver development that's really hurt Drew Aller. You look at the lack of an ability to find a solution to spy Nico Iamaleava. And there were really no answers for it after the game either. It was
Bren, they said they came into the game and he said that when Tony Rojas got hurt, that was supposed to be their spy and they just didn't have. That's inexcusable.
That's not an answer. That's not an answer. And I feel like Penn State, watching them play right now, is playing an uninspired brand of football. Yeah. And this is going to be the toughest job, the toughest couple of weeks of James Franklin's career. Without a doubt. It is on everyone inside that building to flip the script and say, listen, Penn State wins out, they're in the playoff. Now, I don't know how realistic that is, but if everything is still in front of them, and there's a lot of teams around the country that have lost games like this. Look at Notre Dame against Northern Illinois. It is going to be the toughest job of James Franklin's career to get this team, put the blinders on, and figure out a way to show up against Northwestern, beat Northwestern, and get this train back on the tracks. There's a lot of different things we could dive into here, Jake, but overall, I think that 2 can be true. You can have appreciation for what James Franklin has done at Penn State, and at the same time say the last 2 weeks are inexcusable from the top down, and ultimately it's on the head coach. Also, these 2 coordinators for Penn State, Andy Kotelnicki and Jim Knowles, two of the highest paid coordinators in the country, have to put their players in better positions. The fact that Katron Allen doesn't touch the ball more is inexcusable right now for Penn State. And I feel like it's gonna change pretty fast, but it better.
Yeah, listen, man, you laid it out there perfectly. I'd even throw in special teams. I mean, I've always felt special teams were a major indicator of team culture and team perception. And the surprise onside kick by UCLA, when I went back and watched that, I'm like, of course you run that. And then the flip side is for Penn State, what you already had a bye week earlier in the season. Why has this not been addressed? Like, that's so clear to me. It's like someone has to speak up and say, guys, this is going to cost us. If not against UCLA, against Ohio State or Indiana or in the playoffs, this is going to cost us. That's on coaching. Nico, from a scouting standpoint, I called Northwestern UCLA. If you just went to basic scouting, ESPN.com, UCLA Bruins football, you say leading passer, Nico Iamaleava. Leading rusher was Nico Iamaleava. Like, he's been their Mr. Everything. So you have to go into the game saying, we have to contain this guy and then we'll win. 42 points given up is just nuts. The split carry of Singleton and Allen. Singleton's been great for your program. Awesome human. But right now he's not the hot hand. And that's just football. Katron Allen is. He needs, instead of a 50-50 split, it's got to be 80-20. And that'll help Singleton kind of reset a little bit and get back to his full self. But Bren, I think what you said is the most important piece of this. If you take away all this noise, you take away all the perception, it's real, but you have to try to take it away. The reality is you're a 2-loss team with one of your losses being double overtime to what many believe is the first, second, or third best team in all of college football. You have 2 more opportunities on the road against Ohio State, on the road against Indiana, right? Do they play on the road, or are they hosting Indiana? Do you know?
They're at Indiana.
At Indiana, right? So if you win out, you're in the playoffs.
At home against Indiana.
At home against Indiana, even better. If you win out, you're in the playoffs. Yeah. I think the other positive is I have no idea how good this team can be, because I've yet to see them play 60 minutes of their best potential team football. I've yet to see it. Now, I've yet to see a reason why I believe they will do it, and while they'll do it in the biggest moments, but they're capable of it. That's the big lesson from this last weekend, is anything can happen on any given weekend. I'd say this too, Bren, is another lasting memory I had is we came off the Oregon game comparing Dante Moore to Drew Aller. What's Drew Aller going to be in a big game? He played his heart out. He played his heart out in that game. He was not the problem. He was the answer, and almost willed his team back to victory. So there's still positives. They still like the roster. They're still a talented roster, but it's clearly mental, Adam. And I know I've said this. This is the last thing I'll actually say. Mental. Here's a great example. How does Ohio State lose to Michigan last year? Mental. Why? Because, Ohio State goes into that game and they say, rather than not thinking at all and saying, we're Ohio State, we are a national championship contender, we're going to dictate the terms of the game. They start thinking a little bit and saying, we've lost to Michigan because they've been tougher than us. We've lost to Michigan because they've ran the ball more than us. So they start to think and they say, we have to run the ball into 2 first-round D tackles with a beat-up offensive line, rather than throwing the ball with Jeremiah Smith into a secondary without Will Johnson. You completely abandon all logic, think, and it ends up hurting you. What I saw last week was a Penn State team completely lost in thought, not playing inspired football, and I've seen that all year long. I've yet to just see the Nittany Lions play loose and free and say, we are who we say we are. You have to answer to us. I've yet to see that. The day I see that is when my confidence will go right through the roof for Penn State.
The reason UCLA beat Penn State for UCLA is mental, because they came out and just let it rip and had no pressure at all. My final thought on Penn State, they're clearly at a crossroads. Penn State is at a crossroads right now, and 2 tough losses do not ruin a season, but doing nothing right now will ruin your season. So if they can clean that stuff up, Penn State can still salvage the season here, but it's going to be difficult. All right, let's move on, Jay. We got
real quick. You've said this 100 times, James. Let's think about what James has overcome in his career. Many things, and then he takes over a Penn State program. I mean, talk about a challenge. He's been in challenging spots and proven to himself that he's the guy. He is the leader and the man for the job. So James is capable. I believe in him. I still believe in Penn State. It will not be easy, but I'm looking forward to watching him fight.
Jake, we could talk about Penn State all day. Jake, the reason I can tell this is impacting Coach Franklin in his weekly press conference, he's a regimented guy. You know, Coach Franklin does this thing every single week for 12 years at Penn State. He goes into his Monday press conference and he previews that week's opponent, and then he gets into all the questions. Right? He sits down and he reads out
every week
previews the opponent. And this week, Northwestern game, he sits down and for the first time in 12 years did not preview the opponent. And he clearly just like brain fart, like didn't to do it and just started answering questions about the last game. And it's funny because one of the reporters at the end said, "Coach, I haven't seen you not preview the opponent." And he handled it well. He's like, "You're right. I forgot." And he Northwestern. But if that doesn't give you a glimpse into how negative things have gotten there, that's telling. And I believe in that program. And as you know, I believe in Coach Franklin. I think they'll figure it out.
I saw the same thing, man. And it's a beautiful opportunity for these guys to fight back. On the other side of adversity, if they came out the other side, it'll be a tighter, tougher football team, but they have to make that decision. All right, moving on. We promise we're finally moving on, and we should move on. Huge game this weekend. Huge game. The Indiana Hoosiers, led by Coach Cignetti, one of the, I think, facing Dan Lanning. I think these are two of the biggest alpha dog coaches in all of college football. Both coaches are going to empty the clip in this game. They're going to leave it all on the field. Cignetti has proven he's going to have his team ready in every situation. Dan Lanning, the same. Probably, in my opinion, I would say absolutely QB1 and QB2 in all of college football, Dante Moore and Fernando Mendoza. Great coordinators. This game has storylines aplenty. I'll just give you the floor. Talk to me. What are you thinking? What are you seeing?
Incredible game. I mean, just to think of all the star power in this one, Mendoza against Dante Moore and two of the greatest coaches in college football right now, and Dan Lanning and Kirk Cinetti. I thought it was cool to see Kirk Cinetti give Dan Lanning his credit. It's not easy to get comments from Kirk Cinetti. So for Cinetti to call him one of the best young coaches in the game. A few things, Jake. I think for Indiana, this is all about staying on schedule on offense. You got to stay out of third down and long so you can neutralize Oregon's edge rush. So winning on first down, being efficient with that RPO attack, and getting into these third and three situations so that you can neutralize Tuiodu and some of these other guys on the defense.
Uyunglele and Amari Washington.
Yeah, I just didn't want to say his last name. Uyunglele. For Oregon's offense, I think it's about protecting Dante Moore and staying clean. Indiana's front is one of the best in the Big Ten, but rushing the passer, I think they're second or third in sacks. Oregon leads the country in fewest sacks allowed with their offensive line. Yeah. So if Dante Moore can have time, this offense is nearly impossible to stop. The greatest matchup, the one we'll be watching all night, is that Oregon's edge rushers against Indiana's offensive tackles.
Yeah.
How do those edge rushers tee off? Can they get home, get to Fernando Mendoza in the backfield? If they win early, it throws off Mendoza's rhythm completely and throws off their RPO game plan that Indiana loves to run.
Yeah, particularly the right side. I think the right tackle is looking a little shaky, and Uyunglele and Tuioti and Amari. I mean, they have studs. They have guys with great spin moves, speed to power. It's a really good defensive line, and I agree with you. I think the line of scrimmage is absolutely going to decide this game. That's what we've seen this year. I mean, the reason Indiana dominated Illinois, they dominated the line of scrimmage. Michigan beat Nebraska. Why? They dominated the line of scrimmage. I could just go down the list. The battle in the game is won in the line of scrimmage. I think this is going to be the biggest test for Oregon's secondary. They got some youth back there. Brandon Finney's a true freshman. Doesn't play like it. They're starting or rotating multiple freshmen or redshirt freshmen, underclassmen, and Surratt and just Mendoza. These weapons, it's going to be a stress test. But to your point, the best thing Indiana can do is get into third and manageable situations where they have the ability to run the ball or pass it so it's not obvious. I also think the way Oregon handled the environment in Happy Valley was so special, particularly their offensive line in the trenches. Can Indiana do the same? The Autzen Stadium, Adam, it's not 100,000 plus like we're used to, like at Happy Valley or the Big House, but I've called multiple games there.
It's loud.
It is loud. And that fan base gets rowdy and they take pride in being loud. So that's a whole nother element of this game is how does Indiana handle the noise? You got any score predictions? We got a few more games to get to here.
Yeah, I'm going to give you Oregon 31, Indiana 24. I think Indiana's discipline in this game keeps it tight, but Oregon's got too much depth. If they're at home, I think just that setting gives Oregon the late edge in this game. But I think it's a good one and stays close.
Yeah, I mean, road games, obviously, that's been a storyline, especially multiple time zones. I got a feeling this is going to be similar to the Indiana-Ohio State game last year, the Indiana-Notre Dame game last year, where Indiana played both those teams really, really tough. It was just a handful of plays is where the game got away from them. Can Indiana limit the explosives? Oregon has an explosive offense with multiple players. Can Indiana's defense limit the explosives? But I just think the home field advantage. I love Dante Moore. I think the Ducks get it done 27-21.
On the other side of the coin there, Jake, is for this Oregon defense and their back end, they probably haven't seen a pass game like they're going to see against Indiana here. So for young DBs, Brandon Finney, the safety who had the interception,
Dylan Thiedemann,
how do these guys play against an offense that's so explosive as Indiana? So I'm excited to see that too. So it'll be
great coaches, great schemes. I mean, 4 great coordinators. This game has it all. It's going to be a fun one. I can see it going both ways. All right, let's work our way down here. Let's approach these next 2 games by a shout out to our sponsor, Dr. Pepper, the Fansville Hype Man moment this weekend. A lot of good games to pick from. Adam, who are you choosing for your Fansville Hype Man?
My Fansville Hype Man is Illinois, man. They got a huge home game against Ohio State, one of the biggest home games in a while for Illinois. You got this explosive offense and a great defense coming to town, and it's going to be challenging for this Illinois secondary covering Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. You can't double team both of them. So many good players on the skill position side for Ohio State, and then facing Ohio State's defense. This is going to be Luke Altmaier, who's quietly been elite in a lot of moments this season. Top 10 nationally in completion percentage, yards per attempt, yet to throw an interception. This Ohio State secondary is suffocating. I think they're giving up like 5 points a game right now. Ohio State best defense.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Luke Altmaier is the X factor in this game, and it determines whether Illinois keeps this close or they don't. I'm going to go with, I think Ohio State wins this game 34-20. But man, is it a big moment for Illinois, and it's going to be a fun environment there in Champaign.
Yeah, shout out to Alex Rue, our producer. I mean, I know he's excited and fired up for this one. In Illinois, I mean, this is like a true season-defining opportunity. I made the case yesterday with Altmaier, and Illinois had some great players and great quarterbacks. I think Altmaier has to be on Illinois' quarterback Mount Rushmore. But you win this game, if you somehow win this game, I mean, and continue the momentum, top. Gotta be. I mean, seriously, he'd have to be, especially, it's never been harder to win as it currently is in college football. A few key matchups here is that exactly right there. Can Illinois' offensive line protect Altmaier? Arvell Reese, the blitz packages from Matt Patricia. I mean, that was the storyline when Indiana beat up on them. They were able to just completely dominate the line of scrimmage. Can they protect Altmaier? And then on the flip side, when Ohio State has the football, Illinois' defense, man, they're beat up in the back end. They gave up 2 40-plus yard touchdowns last week. Aaron Henry comes from that Ryan Walters scheme. What they want to be is an aggressive blitz-first defense and play a ton of man-to-man coverage. Can't do that against Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. And then Max Clare had his coming out party last week. The 3-headed monster. Julian Sayin has been playing out of his mind. 80-plus completion percentage. Not adjusted, just raw completion percentage. This guy is just lights out. I like the term Olympic level archery in terms of his accuracy. And they got a ton of weapons. And Bren, the left side of their offensive line, I go watch it. Austin Saraveld and Luke Montgomery, road grading dudes, and they're letting their young freshman Bo Jackson eat in the backfield.
Now for the Illinois offensive line, that line's played well.
Better.
Gave up 3 sacks over the past 2 games combined against USC, Purdue. But this Ohio State D line is a different level. Matt Patricia, what they're going to dial up, the different pressure looks. I agree with you, Jake. This Illinois O-line has to give Luke Altmaier time to hit the shots down the field. Ohio State hasn't allowed a touchdown in the red zone all season. So what's that tell you? You got to hit some shots down the field. You got to get a couple explosive plays. It's going to be so difficult. But to do that, you need time in the pocket to throw the football deep.
It's torturous almost playing them, man. It literally feels like they're playing with 13 or 14 dudes down in the red zone. It's remarkable. I got Ohio State winning this one 35-17. I think it's, in a landscape of college football where we got a ton of parity, man, Ohio State's separated. I mean, there's really no weakness on that team to me. So I got them winning a comfortable one.
Who's your Fansville hype man of the week, Jake? Who do you got?
Thank you for asking, Adam. We got a big road matchup. This is like a playoff entry level exam. The Michigan Wolverines traveling all across the country down to LA to take on the USC Trojans. And this is, I mean, I think you could argue that this is the season defining game for both teams. I mean, USC's got a brutal schedule. Play Notre Dame next week. They still have a road trip to Oregon. It's going to be tough for Michigan. If you can get through this one, then you host Washington. Obviously, you'll have your eyes on Ohio State. You get through this one though, and you're thinking Big Ten champ and playoffs, and it's a clashing of identities. My Fansville hype man, I'll answer your question. It's the Michigan Wolverine fans. It's the Wolverine fans who are going to show up in LA. Large populace of Michigan alum. They're going to show up and try to make the Coliseum a home crowd for the Wolverines. I'll lay it out for you. When USC has the ball, it's Jaden Mayava and those wide receivers against time. It's a race against time. Wink Martindale, Michigan's defensive coordinator, highest blitz rate of any defense in the Power Four. He is going to send pressure. Mayava's been outstanding. His PFF grade and completion percentage, he's been outstanding facing blitz, but he's not seen a defensive line like what Michigan's going to present. So can they get home and disrupt him before he releases the ball? On the flip side, for USC's defense, can they stop the run? I mean, Michigan, I think they had like less than 60 yards passing last year and somehow won the game. What Illinois did is they ran it, not even outside zone. They just ran it right downhill at USC's defense. USC's defense is predicated on sacks and TFLs. When you run it downhill, there's not an opportunity to go backwards. So Michigan running downhill, and then they get their safety back, USC, Kamari Ramsey. I think that's critical because Michigan's running back, Justice Haynes, Bren, he's been outstanding, but a lot of his yardage have come on explosive runs. So you get Ramsey back. It's the difference between an 8-yard run where Ramsey makes a tackle at the second level or a broken tackle and a 50-yard touchdown. So I do think that decides the game.
On that front, and a guy to watch, similar to Ramsey, is Eric Gentry, USC's outside linebacker.
Yeah.
We recruited him to Arizona State when I was there, Jake. I mean, the guy's 6'6", long arms, quietly playing at an All-American level right now. He's long, he's fast, but Gentry in space and being rangy, to your point, could be the difference between these 3-4 yard gains and a 40-yard touchdown. So I think Gentry's a guy to watch in this game. I'm excited to see how Bryce Underwood plays. USC knows what they got to do. They gave up 171 on the ground to Illinois. That's not going to cut it against Michigan. So USC will be rolling a safety down into the box, maybe showing a bear front, something new to slow down Justice Haynes and Bryce Underwood. So what does that mean? Bryce Underwood needs to hit throws off play action and punish this USC secondary if they overcommit to the box. Bryce Underwood's not at Michigan to run the football 60% of the time. He's there to make throws down the field when it's needed. He's there to distribute, manage this game. Bryce Underwood needs to play well, and he's going to have to hit throws to win this game. On the other side, I'm excited to see who Jaden Mayava really is. His numbers are so elite. Top QBR in the country. I think he's thrown like one pick to 10 or 11 or 12 touchdowns, 48 points a game they're averaging, but now he faces a disciplined, physical defense in the Big Ten. This is his stage to prove that the numbers are real, that he's one of the top quarterbacks in the country right now.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up these numbers for you here. So Michigan, I said the highest blitz rate in the Power Four. Mayava has an 89.8, so a 90 passing grade when facing the blitz, 88% adjusted completion percentage, and he's only taken 1 sack. So teams have sent pressure, but he's done a great job of getting the ball out and dicing up defenses. It's going to be a fun one. To me, I have Michigan winning this one. USC's favored. I have Michigan winning this one 27-17. I think Michigan wins this one. And I think the key is going to be the freshman Andrew Marsh. To your point, he had a coming out party last week against Wisconsin. Donovan McCulley looks good, but Michigan's going to get into play action. They need playmakers to make those plays. The freshman Andrew Marsh is going to have to be the guy.
I got USC 34-27.
Woo!
Michigan's ground game will control parts of this game, but USC's offensive firepower, I think we see that it's for real in this one. Jaden Mayava to Makai Lemon and all those explosive players USC has will deliver the knockout punch. It's going to be a back and forth playoff type game in the Coliseum. It's going to be fun, but I got USC winning this one.
Yeah, I mean, this is a program-defining opportunity for both coaches. Lincoln Riley, this would be one of the key wins of his career at USC, certainly one of the key wins of Sharon's career if he gets it done. Young secondary, Michigan. They've been starting a lot of freshmen back there, so fun one. Fun one as always with you, man, going around the conference. I wish we could break down every single game, but we don't have the time. Regardless, we appreciate you guys tuning in to the Butt and Breneman Show. We'll see you back here same time next week.